We are going to be talking about why organizing helps kids at home and at school. So, this is like a really big topic and something I think that is so important right now. We are going to talk about like why that's so important today in this segment of At Home with the Organized Mama.
Hey there, I'm Jessica, the Organized Mama. I'm a family organizing expert that helps you with organizing tips, tricks, and tutorials the entire family can do.
So, the biggest reason why kids need to learn how to organize, and like we've talked about this before, that organizing is not like a skill you possess, it's something you can learn to have. So kids need to learn how to be organized. Some people just pick it up easier than others, just like drawing, but it's a skill. It's something we can learn. It's something that we can kind of like take on and do and, better our skills. So when we teach kids how to organize, they become successful not only at home, but at school and with their peer relationships. And that is going to be key. Like, think of yourself now, and I'm sure you have a friend who is incredibly disorganized. They always say they're going to call you back, or you schedule a time to meet them and they're like, oh, I forgot, I got the date wrong. Those are skills that fall into the category of organizing. And I want you to teach your kids not to be that person, because you just kind of like give up on trying to make something happen with that friend because you just get frustrated. I have a friend who I've known forever, and she still does this. When we were, we had a Zoom call that we were all doing, and she was like, oh, I forgot. And like, it's frustrating. You don't want to be that person, and organizing really does come into play in that sense. When you are organized, you are able to prioritize your activities and tasks better because you can see them all. You're not just working just to work. You are working to get the goal accomplished, whatever that goal may be. So, being organized is really going to help you, kind of figure out all of that stuff. And same with your kids. Like, they are going to be able to plan out their projects, they're going to be able to plan out their homework, use time management. This is like a big one. And I've noticed since we've been home, because of the whole pandemic thing going on, that my time management skills have slipped a little bit as well. I find myself looking more on social media or just kind of like zoning out on things when, usually pre being stuck at home all this time, I was reading more books and I was doing all these other kind of things. So I'm working on a couple of things to help me get back to my productive self, because I feel like right now I'm not using the time in the best interest of myself. And that is something that we can teach our kids. And that all goes into time management. Like, I would like to be able to sit and read my book like more than what I have been doing. And by prioritizing and setting time management skills, I would be able to do that much more effectively than what I'm doing now, which is just kind of like, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Also, when you're organized, you are able to set clear goals because you aren't just kind of like scrambling or figuring out, what or where things are or projects you have. So you're able to set goals and meet them because you're prioritizing them, and you are able to streamline what you see and what you're doing. And your kids will be able to do that, especially with schoolwork. They can enjoy more time with their friends than, having to do schoolwork because they've already done it. Another thing is, when you are organized, you have stronger interpersonal skills because your mind isn't as scattered when you train it to be a little more organized, a little more streamlined. And that looks different for every type of mind. So what I mean by that, I'm a former special ed teacher, and I worked a lot with, when I was in like the resource teacher that bopped into the different classrooms, the kiddos that had ADHD, anxiety, any of that kind of stuff, their organizational mind looked very different than that of a kiddo who was either neurotypical or even a kiddo that was gifted. They also categorize things differently. So think about, if you ask your kid how to like kind of categorize like toys, that's going to be a good indicator of how their mind sorts things. And you can kind of go off of that, and that will help teach those interpersonal skills that one needs because they're able to process more things because things are organized. Another thing about being organized is you are less stressed. There's a lot of research about less stuff, being less stressed. When you're organized, you're less stressed. When everything in your house is tidy, you are less stressed. There's so much research on this, guys, and that is why I'm such a huge advocate for organizing, because I've seen how much it like reduces the anxiety, the stress, the everything. So that's the goal of why we need to teach our kids how to organize, and they'll be successful. Now, I was doing some research on this to find like research and stats and stuff. And so there has been a research with 3 independent separate school districts across the country that have been linked disorganization of the backpack, desk, or locker, depending on what the school like had, for an elementary age school, one in New York, one in the Midwest, and one on the West Coast. And they linked that research to poor performance at school. They like tracked it. And I was just like, as I was reading all of this, I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. Because when you are disorganized, then you aren't performing well. And it just really puts everything into perspective, right? Getting the kids organized, teaching them how to organize is going to be so critical to like just their success and your sanity. I just found that really interesting. So creating a system was the most effective tool that these researchers saw over the study that they did for, I believe this one was 2 years. The second study I found, research was on organizing and study skills in upper grades. And this one was 4 different schools. They were all public schools. And they found that poor organizational skills led to poor prep work for tests, which again makes sense. If you aren't organized, prepping for your tests is going to be kind of challenging, right? They looked at that, and then they tracked the kiddos who had poor organizational skills. And so from that initial study, then they started tracking the kids with poor organizational skills, and they were less likely to go to a 4-year university after high school. And the biggest thing that I took away from that was just that the disorganization can really get to the kids. And it's like, you don't want to do that to your kids, right? So let's start by getting our kids organized. And like, based on this research, we need to start now, especially with the homeschool. So I've talked a little bit about like how we can get them organized, but I wanted to show you some examples of some things that, we do just to kind of like help kids get organized. So the first one I want to show you, it's a flow chart, and this is free on my site. This is what to do with artwork cheat sheet. This cheat sheet, you start here and you just kind of like ask yourself the questions and you follow it down. I like this for elementary age kids because they can kind of like really see the flow. So a lot of kiddos with, that appear disorganized, I would strongly suggest that you think about creating flow charts for them. And, a flow chart is exactly what it sounds. It's just the flow that you want them to do of things. So with this one, you start here and you ask yourself the question, do you love this piece of artwork? Yes or no? And then you move along and figure it out, like what to do with that piece of artwork. Now, the reason why flowcharts work so well for organizing is it really creates streamline, and it gives the kiddos brain map of how to think about tasks, which helps with organizing. Another tool that I love to use, especially when we're organizing kids' toys and stuff. This is my 6 steps to decluttering kids' toys, along with visuals for the kids so that the kids can then also declutter. And again, like I said, the reason why I love this is because it's pictures and it gives them a process to help them create order within their mind for how to organize. This one is like the adult copy, and like this one is the kid copy. So they both come together. I'll include all of those because they're all free. Another tool that also works to help kids visually see order are, what to do to like put away toys and take out toys. Also free. And these picture charts, these ones are great for younger kids, and it'll start creating order in your home for younger kids. Like, just keep this in your playroom and then take it out to show them, like, this is how you take out toys and this is how you put away toys. There are stories, they're called social stories, and they are just tools to help. The idea behind it was to help kids understand social situations, and now they've used them to kind of explain different processes and routines and all of that for kiddos, typically autism spectrum disorder, but it does work for a lot of other kids if your kiddo enjoys those. Sometimes I feel like they are very overused. I was actually speaking with a friend who like hates them because that was kind of like the tool that they used for her son when he was in elementary school. And based on what I know, that would not have been a solution I would have selected. And it's also not like a one and done type of thing. It needs to go hand in hand with, like a picture chart, right? You create the social story and the picture chart. You create the social story and have designated tasks for that. So if you hear social story, that's what it is. It is a story to explain how a task or process is supposed to be done. There is a specific order that has been researched. So make sure if you are interested in social stories that you find out the research-based way to create a social story and not just, somebody creating a story and calling it a social story. Another tool that I think is great to help kiddos organize are like routine picture charts or routine checklists. I have 2. This one will be on the site soon. I'm still working out some details on this one or this. I have a whole bunch of them. Let's see, like that's not supposed to be blue. So using daily checklists or picture schedules that you can, remove, and then the kids can make their schedule or their flow will help teach organizing. And then my last tool that I want to talk about is my Ultimate Parents Guidebook to Getting Organized. This guidebook is incredible. I have gotten a lot of emails back from people that have downloaded it and have said they can't believe that it's free because there's so much information in this. We start with like where to start, and then from there, how to set the expectations for kiddos. I have examples of expectations, and then there's like free printables for the expectation charts. You set them based on the room. I have, cleanup routines, cleanup checklists, and there's like a lot of information in here. And the reason why I created it was so that you could get organized and figure out how to organize your kids. Because a lot of times parents feel like, okay, I'm not organized. I don't exactly know where to start, but I don't want my kids to be in the same boat I am. So that's where this came from. And I really wanted that based on, all of your information and stuff that you've shared with me about things that you're looking for and you need help with. And so that's where all of this kind of stemmed from. So that was like the goal of our talk today, was all about why organizing is so important for kids. And there are a lot of tools out there. And I want you to think about what would work for your kids, your family, your life. I've created all of these freebies just to kind of like help make things easy for you. and I hope that you find them useful.
Love what you see? Don't forget to subscribe. New videos every Wednesday.